Going down to the house of sausage. I got my barbecue shoes on. Going down to the house of sausage. I got my barbecue shoes on. Gonna put me a brat
Welcome to BBQPitBoys.com. Today we're gonna do up Grandma's old-time recipe for apple pie. All right, this is real easy to do. For this recipe, we're gonna need about 8 fresh apples, and here we've got a lemon. Here we've got some pre-made pie dough, since we don't have Martha around. And here we got some fresh butter. We've got some sugar. Here we've got some cinnamon. We've got some nutmeg. Here we got some salt. And we got some flour. All right, we're cooking indirect. We got the coals on one side of the grill here. Now the first thing we're going to do is slice up these apples, and we want to quarter them up and then remove the core and of course the apple peel itself. And there's all kinds of ways to do this. Some will blanch these apples in water, hot water first, and then the skin will come off. But this kind of works real easy, and you got a nice fresh apple. This is the most difficult part of making this pie, spending all that time coring and peeling these apples. Now you probably have your own tricks to do this, so we won't belabor it. But you want to cut these apples just about a 1/4 inch thick, maybe 3/8 inch thick. Not too thin and not too thick. It makes a good apple pie. All right, we move this ahead. We got all these apples all cut up and ready to go. Now we're going to throw these slices here in a big bowl, because we're going to mix up some sugar and flour and a little bit of salt. We want to mix it up real good. Now, if you've never had apple pie off the grill before, well, you're missing something out of your life. You gotta definitely check this out. Get that old country flavor. All right, now let's take about a cup of sugar for this recipe. You can use a little bit less if you want, a little more tartness in your pie, maybe 3/4 cup, but use about a cup of sugar. That works best. Now to the sugar, we're going to add about 1 tablespoon of flour. Give it a good mix. And then add to that about a pinch of salt, maybe 1/8 teaspoon. Now you want to cover these apples. This mixture, coat them real good. Now many will tell you the best apple pies come out of the old wood-fired ovens, and there's a reason for that. That nice high dry heat temperature produced by the fire, and then it infuses a slight smokiness into the crust of the pie. Just like a good pizza would come out of a brick oven. You taste that delicious crust. Well, that's half of making a good pie. Now, to this mixture here, we're gonna add about 2 teaspoons of fresh lemon juice. Now you can add a little bit more if you're looking for a little more tartness to your pie, but start with 2 teaspoons. And it's good enough to eat already. All right, now let's put this pie together. Now, because Martha's not at the pit today, we're going to use this pre-made pie dough. And this works real good if you don't really like making your own dough. You'd rather be eating pie than making pie dough, if you know what I mean, down here at the pit. Now, to make a good pie crust, you need to really use a Pyrex oven-safe pie dish here. It makes for a real flaky crust. And they're perfectly safe to use on the grill as long as you're not directly over the hot coals. Now, let's scoop in all this pie filling here. See, we got a lot of apples going on there. This is going to be a real deep dish apple pie. This is no store-bought pie here. Now next we're going to put the cover on this pie. But before we do, we want to put on a little bit of nutmeg. And maybe about 1/8 of a teaspoon of nutmeg. Maybe a little bit more, 1/4 teaspoon at most. Just sprinkle it on top. Then here we've got some cinnamon. And again, we use about 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. And if you really like cinnamon, you can add a little bit more and just sprinkle that on too. Now, the reason why we don't pre-mix these spices in the pie here, we just layer it on the top, because here we're gonna put some dots of butter, about a teaspoonful, maybe a little bit more, and that butter will bring those spices down to that apple pie as it's cooking. Now we've covered this pie, and next you want to roll the edges under the dough from the bottom layer dough there, and make a nice seal. And of course, if we had Martha around here, we'd have her flute the edges here, but we're not producing any fancy pie here. This is a BBQ Pit Boys style pie. Then we take a little scoring action here on this pie, and you don't want to go through the crust. You just want to just lightly score the top of that dough. Makes it look real good. And the final thing here is we're going to sprinkle on some white cane sugar. Just give it a good sprinkle. And produce an extra special crust. All right, now let's get this pie on the grill. Again, opposite the coals. We want to cook this pie at about 425 degrees Fahrenheit. It'll take about 45 minutes, maybe a little longer, maybe a little less, depends how hot those coals you got going on there. Now about 20 minutes has gone by. Look at that. It's coming along real good. And this is where I like to spin the pie around about 180 degrees and get some even cooking going on. About another 20-25 minutes. All right, through the miracle of time, Grandma's apple pie is done. I'm going to pull it off the grill, and then we're going to let it rest for a while before we cut into this pie. We might let it cool down. Gives a chance for that crust to firm up. All right, it's time for some dessert. Just cut it up. Look at that flaky pie crust there. You smell that? This smells good. Now I like to serve my apple pie with some cheddar cheese. I'm gonna warm this on the grill. It's the old way. You serve up that apple pie with some warm cheddar cheese. Now those pie police right now are wondering where that pie fork is. But, hey, we're not fancy here. You just get yourself a spatula and put yourself a big old piece on a plate. Man, there's nothing like apple pie hot off the grill. Grab some of that cheddar cheese. And of course, apple pie is also traditionally served with fresh made whipped cream. Now, if you like your apple pie with ice cream, you just go right ahead. Get some good eating. In fact, as always, I gotta try a little bit of this right in front of you. I do apologize. Dang, that's good. So the next time you're looking for a recipe for your next barbecue, check out BBQPitBoys.com.